Yeah, I'm a happy girl. Yes. So let's talk about this. I have no voice because I've been doing videos all day. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the last week of the Owl's Magical Readathon. I have not had coffee. I am so tired. So it is Saturday, which means the start of another week. This week is the fourth and last, which means I have 6 days to finish 4 books. We'll see how that works. But I have a couple updates for you. So coming in from last week, I brought in these 3 books. I read 1 chapter in Brightly Burning, but that's literally all I've done. I haven't done anything else. And this one I think will be the last one I read, just because I'm in the middle of these 2 and I'm really invested in these. And then the other book that I haven't started yet, I actually need to become an animagus. So we'll see. But I read a little bit actually of both of these last night. So The School for Good and Evil, the 3rd one, I am now on page 440. So 65% of the way through the book. I've made it to part 3 and things are happening. So I needed to stop, otherwise I was going to be up all night. So I have that much left to read. So I can get that done in probably the next couple of days. And then I'm also reading Unconditionally, which is for charms. I forget what this is for. This was for Care of Magical Creatures. And I'm reading Unconditionally for charms because it has a white cover. And I read a chapter last night, so I'm on page 180. So, like, de-smudge over halfway. And I think I'm going to sit down and focus on this one today because I really want to get this one done. Like, I need to know what happens. So, I read a little bit last night, but I hadn't finished anything. And my plan is to try to finish this one today or get as much as I can done in it, just because, like, I am so invested in this world. And, like, I just need to know. That's really about it. Those are my plans for today. Who knows what will happen? I need coffee because I can't make sentences function. So I'm gonna go do that and then sit down and read. An update because there's a Chris. So excuse me, why are you being loud? So, hello. earlier I finished Unconditionally by Aaron Lyon, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars, exactly the same as I gave the first book. It was great. It was exactly all of the same feelings that I had about the first one I had in this one, so I'll try to link the first week vlog. It's just in case you didn't see that one, because I don't want to like rehash everything that I felt, but it's your stereotypical rom-com in a book, chick lit, whatever you want to call it. It's that. It has 10 million different tropes in it, so if you don't like tropes, or like tropes bother you, especially ones that are used very frequently, not your book. But it was very cute. I love how it wrapped up. I did kind of feel like I realized I had like 4 chapters left and nothing was quite where it needed to be. No, not even. I had like 2 chapters left and everything wasn't quite where it needed to be. So basically everything got wrapped up in the very last chapter, and yeah. So it was very good. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but it's very trope heavy and it's very stereotypical. So that's really all I wanted to say, and it was great. I did like it. I still gave it 4 stars. So another one done. Yay. I think what I'm going to do, instead of picking up Brightly Burning, is to pick up the other one I need. So that's going to be The Beholder by Anna Bright, which I do have an audiobook of on Scribd that I can get, so I might do that while I'm reading along, or do that once I'm finished with The School for Good and Evil. I think I'm going to dedicate most of my time to this book first and then get to this one. But I'm just not feeling Brightly Burning right now. It has nothing to do with the writing. The first chapter was good. It was fine. Like, I had really no opinions about it. But I need this one to finish my animagus training. And I don't... Actually, I think I need this one to finish my... I need this one to finish my transfiguration as well. Crap. So I need to finish this one. Otherwise, I have zero. Zero, like, of what I wanted to do as far as career. So I think I'm probably going to pick this one up relatively soon, and then focus on this one and work on these 2 this week, and then if I have time to pick up Brightly Burning, then I'll pick up Brightly Burning. But I think I'm going to spend the rest of the week dedicated on these 2 books, because I need this one, and this one's awesome. So that's my update. I finished a book. Yay. Updates for you, because I finished a book. I finished The School for Good and Evil, the 3rd one, The Last Ever After. I've also like tapped the crap out of this book. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars instead of 5, just because it took me so long to be invested in the book. But once I was invested, I was there, and it was a real struggle because I couldn't figure out if I wanted to actually give it 5 stars or give it 4.5. I gave it 4.5 just because like that feels appropriate. It's really good. It's really like up there for me, but it's not 5-star, I don't think. But I loved this one so much. Like, I've literally been doing nothing today except for laundry, and then like I've been planning my bullet journal for May, like plotting out the spreads and everything so that I could continue to listen to this book, because I knew like the end was coming, and I knew that once we got to it, I wouldn't be able to put it down. And I was correct. Not the last chapter, but the chapter before that one broke me in about 10 different ways. I have never cried that much at a book in the series. And like I couldn't stop myself. I just broke. And then I was fine. And then something else happened and I broke again. And I was like, this is just how my emotions are, apparently. I just like, there's a lot of backstory in this book. Like I suspected, we like learned about Agatha's mom, Sophie's mom. We did learn a little bit more about Tedros's mother. It's not what I expected, but it was amazing, and I loved getting that. And then there's also something that I don't think spoils it, but there is a moment pretty far into this book where Agatha is talking to Cinderella. And I've seen my fair share of Cinderella and Disney fairy tale, or just fairy tale retellings. And 90% of the time when people do a retelling of a fairy tale, it's from the villain's perspective, which makes the good hero the villain. And there's a kind of a retelling that he does with Cinderella's story. And it's my favorite retelling of Cinderella I have ever read. It was so good. It's a whole, like, 5 pages in this book. It's not even, like, a chunk of the book, but it was just, like, I wanted to know more about that part, and I just kept reading, because it was so good. It was so good. The one thing that really annoyed me is the amount of times that, like, Sophie specifically, but, like, every time something happened, Sophie basically flip-flopped sides 10 different times, and I'm not talking about this book, I'm talking about, like, the entire first 3 books. She keeps flip-flopping, and it's really annoying. It's like one of the things that annoyed, because, like, anytime I thought I knew where she was going, I would always go, but remember last time you did that, and you were wrong, and then I was wrong. So, like, you could never get, like, a hold on who she was as a person, because she kept getting, like, switched and flipped a million different times. And, like, I understand the point of it, but after a while you get tired. It's draining. And so I'm glad that that portion of the story, hopefully, is done. But I still loved it. It was fantastic. Chef's kiss. Amazing. So that one was for my Care of Magical Creatures, so I can plop that one to the side now, which means that I have 4 days left of this readathon, and I only have 2 books. So I might actually be able to do this, but I'm going to focus mainly on The Beholder. Like I said, I've taken the dust jacket off of it, because this is the one that I need for, like, to complete my career. But I did start it last night, so I am on chapter 6, so I'm about 40 pages into this book, and it's good. Like, I don't really have any opinions about it yet. So I'm confused because, and I'm sure it'll become clear later, but for right now, this book feels like a fantasy world. It's a little dystopian because it's, like, set in America, but it's not America. And it's, like, basically what if the English, when they colonized the US, basically said, oh, you're weak, peace out, and then claimed it was their independence. And so you were already a broken nation, and then a king took over. Is basically the world that we're set in, because, like, in the very beginning of this book, they're celebrating Arbor Day, and they're in the, like, their land, I guess, is called the Potomac, and then at one point, like, the stepmother in this book came from, like, the New York land, and so it's like the US is split up in all these different, like, lands, kind of like Europe is. It's really bizarre. It's, like, hard to wrap my brain around. But it says that this is a fantasy, and I've seen literally 0 fantastical elements yet. Again, I'm only 40 pages into it, so, like, that might change. And I feel like the fantasy is going to be, like, a plot twist element, but I don't actually know if that's true or not. It feels like a fantasy world without any of the actual magic. So I'm going to put all of my effort into reading this one first, even though there is an audiobook, and I probably can get through it quickly. But because this one's required and Brightly Burning isn't, I'm going to focus on this one first. So that is my goal. But I finished a book, so it's a good day. I'm only 2 days into this week, and I've already finished 2 books. So far, so good. finished the book. So I finished like 100 pages of this last night when I was trying to fall asleep. I was listening to the audiobook and reading along, and I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it. It was okay, like I was interested, but I was still like kind of on the fence about whether or not like what was happening and if I actually liked it. Plus the audiobook for this one is okay, like the narrator did fine, but all of the audiobooks for The School for Good and Evil are amazing, and I really love what that narrator does, and so coming off of that was a little hard. But once I got into it, I somehow, without realizing what was happening, I ended up really liking this book. It is marketed as fantasy, and there are zero fantasy elements, at least in this one. I did find out that there is a sequel to it coming out in June, I want to say, but like there are absolutely no fantasy elements in this. It feels like a fantasy world. The author had to build this world like crazy, and there are elements from our actual history and world laid in this. So I found that was really interesting. So it has all of these like feelings of a fantasy world without any of the fantastical elements. So this just, like, I don't know, this feels like historical fiction maybe, but like an alternative to historical fiction. It's bizarre. Like, they have jousting when she goes to England, and she has to wear all these fancy dresses, and they have to go to balls. Like, there is a little bit of technology because they use radios in this book, so like it's kind of all over the place. So the world's a little confusing. She does throw like a ton of different names at you because she takes influence from a ton of different cultures. Like interlaid in these pages are little bits and pieces from different stories. So like for example, she's got this one. This one is Beowulf. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. But usually they are like fairy tales, like, I think the first one was Cinderella, but like what she'll do is she'll have like the very top is a different language, and then she'll have it in English. And I've seen French in here, I've seen Arabic in here, there was German at one point, I believe there is some kind of Scandinavian language in here too. There's just a lot of influences from actual cultures that she has put into this world. So it's very interesting. I was still like confused a lot of the time. I wasn't sure what I was thinking. I'm really glad I listened to the audiobook of this because I would not be able to like pronounce any of the names in this. Any of the names of the places, any of the names of our characters. Like there would be no hope for me. So having someone there who can do that was really great. There's also like a little bit of insta-love in here. Like not really, but a relationship, actually multiple relationships develop really quickly. And so just like there's a lot about this book that I could totally see annoying other people, but without realizing it, I became really invested in the story. I became really invested in our main character because this book made me cry. It made me laugh. It made me really excited at one point where like I like screamed and went, oh my god, I can't believe it, and like almost dropped the book. I had a lot of emotions with this book, so I haven't put this through compile yet, but I'm feeling like this is going to be a 4. Like a pretty low 4, but a 4, because I was debating between a 3.5 and a 4, but because it was able to like get those strong emotions out of me, I think it just does deserve a 4. So I finished another one. This one was for Defense Against the Dark Arts, which means I have now officially completed everything that I need to complete to be successful at both a Transfiguration Professor and as Animagus training. But that also means I only have one book left, which is Brightly Burning, but another book down. So, yay. because you haven't seen my face in a couple days. I mean, you see my face, but you haven't heard me, maybe? I don't even know. But I do have updates for you. So I am reading Brightly Burning. I am on page 190, so like smack dab in the middle. And I just really need to finish this much more today, and then I will be caught up, because I sectioned the book off so that I knew how much I had to read each day to finish. And it's really good, but I have some thoughts on this one. As I've mentioned before, Brightly Burning is basically a sci-fi retelling of Jane Eyre. Retelling is a strong word because I'm only halfway through, but the world itself, like, she's created, Alexa Dawn, the author, has created this amazing, intricate world where, like, everyone lives in spaceships now because, for some reason, basically Earth got to the point where it's roughly about now, because there are some things that they mentioned about, like, what would have happened on Earth X amount of years ago, and it's, like, things that would have happened, like, now, and like, timeline-wise. But then, for some reason, it had a second ice age, and that bumped everyone up in spaceships and the atmosphere that orbit the Earth and the moon and stuff like that. And so, like, that world, like, when she was at her first ship at the very, very beginning, before she went to, like, the second ship, which is where the Rochester character is. That ship's ironically called the Rochester, and actually starts, like, tutoring this kid. It was really interesting because you learned all about the history of this world. You saw, like, how terrible the ship was that she was living on. It was really interesting. However, as far as the plot goes, there is nothing different about this plot than what would have happened in the actual Jane Eyre, to the point where, like, when I think about some of the characters, I call them by the wrong names, because in here, the Jane Eyre character's name is Stella, but in my head, she's still Jane, and so, like, I mess that up sometimes. There's just nothing original about the plot of this story. Like, everything that happens in this book happens in Jane Eyre. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I am still enjoying this one. I'm predicting that this one will probably be about a 3.5, just because, like, I do really enjoy the story of Jane Eyre. So, like, I'm enjoying what I'm reading, and, like, it's giving me all of the same feels that I had when I was reading Jane Eyre. There's just not really anything original about the plot itself. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because there's still a couple things, like, big things that haven't even, like, I'm only halfway through, so there's a couple big things that haven't happened yet, and there's a couple things that, like, I can't see happening in the world that she's created, so I'm wondering how she's going to do that. If you like Jane Eyre and you want something different, this is not your book. It's literally the same thing, but I am liking, like, what she's doing. I like I said, the world itself is super creative, and I like that part of it. I just don't like the plot, because nothing's different. Like, I really just want to watch Jane Eyre now, because this is reminding me so much that it's basically the original. Also, there's conflicting timelines, I feel like, because in the world that they're at, she is a governess, so she is treated as, like, secondary, not by anybody on the ship, but by, like, people who come to visit, which is the same as Jane Eyre. And they have valets and maids, and, like, they're second-class citizens, and, like, it's basically a whole Downton Abbey house on a ship, and, like, that's fine, except for the fact that their history came from Earth, and Earth was a little more modern than that, or at least that's what it sounds like. So, like, I'm really conflicted, because their dialogue and the way that they talk is very similar to how we talk today, and, like, she likes to read, like, the Jane character. Oh my gosh, see, I did it again. Stella really likes to read, and so she talks about getting access to all these different books now that she's on this different ship, and she talks about reading all of Jane Austen, and then she mentions Agatha Christie at one point, and there's a few books that are a little more modern, so I'm confused, because why would they revert back in time as far as, like, the way that they run things? Because if your ancestors were more modern and then now you're not, like, I'm confused by that situation. But I'm intrigued, and I am enjoying it. So, it's late, but I think I'm going to sit down after I, like, make some notes here. I'm going to sit down and at least finish the portion that I need to finish before the end of today. I'm intrigued, and, like, I keep wanting to read this, which is good. Like, it's holding my attention, but I don't think that's because this is anything unique. I think that's just because I like the story of Jane Eyre. So it's interesting. I'm glad I'm reading it. I'm curious to see what the other one that I have, which is Stars We Steal, and that's based on Persuasion by Jane Austen. So I'm curious to see if she's going to do something similar to this, like have the same story basically. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see. I've heard that that one's better, and that they do actually kind of take place in the same world. Like they both have the same kind of like history. So I'm intrigued, but yeah, those are my thoughts for now. So I'm on the floor because I just finished filming a couple of videos and I thought I'll just keep my setup and talk to you guys. So I'm here to basically wrap up this vlog because I finished Brightly Burning last night. Well, actually it was this morning. It was really early this morning because I didn't sleep because I got to the important part and I just wanted to keep reading. I gave this one 4 stars and it did get better. So the plot line was still a problem through most of it, but the last like 25% of this book, it did actually start to get unique. Things were different. It followed the like generic structure of the Jane Eyre story, but it did things differently, which I really appreciated. So it did get better towards the end, and I was like on the edge of my seat and like I was there for it. And I really ended up loving this book. I will say that there is, at the very end, they mention quarantine and like a virus outbreak. So if you're thinking about reading this and like you don't want to read about stuff that's actually happening in the world right now, maybe wait a few months on this one, but I still really liked it. So I'm really happy I read this, and I have high hopes because people that I've heard who've read both of these books by her say that the other one is better than this one. So like, I'm excited. But I did it. I finished all 12 books. Who am I? I have way too much free time right now. So that's really about all I've got. I did end up finishing 4 books this week, so we can go through those real quick. I started with Unconditionally by Erin Lyon, which I gave 4 stars to. I then finished The School for Good and Evil, the third one, by Someone Trainani, which I ended up giving 4.5 to. And then I read The Beholder by Anna Bright, which I gave 4 to. And then Brightly Burning, which I gave 4 to. So I'm just happy that I've like been able to get through a good chunk of the books that are on my shelves that I've had for a while. So this has been fun. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched all 4 of these videos, or if you just watched this one, thank you for sticking around and watching me read books for a month. I do enjoy vlogging, but I like vlogging when I have something to vlog. Let me know if you enjoyed this. I had quite a lot of fun doing this again, and I'm very excited for the newts. Hopefully I won't have too many that I have to read. I can't remember what like the number is, but I feel like I only have like 7 again or something like that I have to read in August when we do that one. I don't know, but we'll see. So those are the rest of the books that I read. So thanks for sticking around and watching this. This was fun. I hope you guys, if you are participating in the Owls, have had a great month and read some really good things and were able to do and complete everything you needed for your careers. Thanks again for sticking around and watching this vlog or all the vlogs or just being a part of this channel. I really appreciate it. But if you did like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already and become part of this awesome growing family. I also have my social media down there, so if you want to follow along on any of those, I'm active on Instagram, so like that's the one to go to. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!